YouTube, Niner Empire, what is going down? Welcome back to another video here. So the number one free agent on the market this offseason is T. Higgins, wide receiver of the Cincinnati Bengals. And he has recently been linked to the 49ers, specifically by Michael Lombardi, the North Carolina football general manager. He went on to the Pat McAfee show just a few days ago, and they were talking about T. Higgins and, which team could sign T. Higgins, and things of that nature. Now, basically, this whole thing started because of Michael Lombardi making a comment on the Pat McAfee show, in which he said, quote unquote, "You put T. Higgins on a team like the 49ers, my lord, he could end up shining because they have other players around him. Brandon Ayuk would be even better with somebody like T. Higgins." And here's the thing, too. I mean, T. Higgins could very well go to a divisional rival like the Rams, like the Cardinals. Both have cap space. Obviously, the Rams have their number one wide receiver in Puka Nacua. The Cardinals have their, number one wide receiver, future wide receiver, I guess you could say, in Marvin Harrison Jr. But those teams could both be suitors for T. Higgins as well in free agency. So could the 49ers try to drive up T. Higgins' price tag for those teams by entering the negotiation and the sweepstakes and potentially signing T. Higgins? I'll be the first to say this. I would absolutely welcome the idea of T. Higgins to the 49ers. Another thing, too, is you don't want to underestimate Kyle Shanahan's desire to have a dominant wide receiver like T. Higgins. And you guys are probably thinking, we have Brandon Ayuk under contract. The thing is, Brandon Ayuk's going to be coming off of a massive, knee surgery, to where he tore multiple ligaments in his knee. And, obviously, as a Niners fan and as a, Brandon Ayuk fan, I hope to God that he can eventually return to the player, that he was before the injury. But knowing how serious this injury is, it makes you kind of question the future of Brandon Ayuk and whatnot. And I'm not saying that the 49ers would trade him or anything like that, because that's obviously not happening. But you also got to look at this. Deebo Samuel, I'm not going to say that he's not the same player. It sure does look like that, but he had an off year, right? He wasn't the Deebo Samuel that the fans know and love. And again, that, a lot of things went wrong for the 49ers this season, and, Deebo Samuel's off year was just, a minuscule thing compared to some of the other things that really transpired for this team over the last year. So, again, I am 100% open to the idea of entertaining this idea of T. Higgins signing with the 49ers. I definitely think if the 49ers try to pursue him, we could probably see a guy like Deebo Samuel on his way out. And, again, I'm one that would prefer Deebo Samuel to stay on the 49ers, because I don't think, with him coming off of a season that he had where he didn't necessarily perform up to par, I don't think the 49ers would get what they should for a Deebo Samuel trade. And I could be wrong. There may be a team out there that offers a fourth or a third round pick for Deebo Samuel, but I think the 49ers are better off keeping Deebo Samuel. However, if they do sign a guy like T. Higgins, that could mean Deebo Samuel's time in San Francisco is probably coming to an end. And here's the thing, too. I mean, they have Ricky Pearsall. Juwan Jennings emerged as a, massive target and massive player for the 49ers, in the midst of the Brandon Ayuk injury. So, they have a guy like Ricky Pearsall that can kind of play the Deebo role in a way if need be. I think he's similar. He's got a similar play style to Deebo. I do think Ricky Pearsall is a better route runner than Deebo. I think he has, better separation off the line of scrimmage than Deebo Samuel does. Deebo Samuel's really been known for being good with the ball in his hands, and there's nothing wrong with that, but Deebo's never been the guy to be known to be a phenomenal route runner. To have great hands. Deebo Samuel has pretty good hands for the most part. Now, obviously, we know of some of the drops, the crucial drops in which he had last season that really, really hurt the 49ers. But you guys get the point. Like, Ricky Pearsall's a good route runner. He's got incredible hands, but he can also do some of the things like Deebo Samuel can. So in my opinion, I think if the 49ers do sign T. Higgins, this could mean the departure of Deebo Samuel because, number one, they're definitely not getting rid of Juwan Jennings. They're not going to get rid of Brandon Ayuk. You just paid him a massive contract extension before the start of last year. And then you look at Ricky Pearsall, he's still on a rookie deal, so they're not going to get rid of him. And I think when you look at this 49ers wide receiver group, the odd one out here is Deebo Samuel. So, again, man, like obviously the 49ers probably will have interest in T. Higgins. Obviously they've already made two massive investments into the position, signing Deebo Samuel to a massive contract, signing Brandon Ayuk to a massive contract. And obviously, I think they would hate to see a team like the LA Rams or the Arizona Cardinals, get T. Higgins in free agency and sign him to a deal. So I definitely think T. Higgins to the 49ers is a good possibility. I'm not going to lie, though. I think in the grand scheme of things, it's probably more likely to not happen than it will. But again, man, like I would not underestimate Kyle Shanahan's desire to want a dominant wide receiver like T. Higgins, and he would fit this system. The 49ers wide receiver group would drastically get better. I mean, can you imagine Brock Purdy throwing to Ricky Pearsall, T. Higgins, and Brandon Ayuk next year? Like that's a elite wide receiver group that would immediately become one of the top wide receiver groups in all of football, if not the top one. I definitely think the 49ers are at least eyeing T. Higgins. I think there's going to be interest there. However, I think there's going to be a team that will pay T. Higgins a deal that he probably can't refuse, and I just don't think that's going to be the 49ers. So, again, I wouldn't underestimate this team, being interested in T. Higgins. Again, to me, it just I don't know, man. I really don't see it happening. But it's worth noting that Michael Lombardi, of course, thinks that T. Higgins will be a great fit with the 49ers. And obviously, if it happens, this is going to make a lot of fans happy. But again, it's also going to mean a potential departure of Deebo Samuel. I don't see the 49ers giving up Brandon Ayuk after they just signed him. And not only that, but Brandon Ayuk may not even be ready to play at the start of next year. And if that's the case, I mean, you get a guy like T. Higgins in free agency, he can immediately fill that role and fill that void for the injured Brandon Ayuk. And then obviously you have Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall as well to work with. Obviously, that is if they trade Deebo Samuel. And again, to me, in my opinion, I think if they sign T. Higgins, it only makes sense to trade a guy like Deebo Samuel. So, definitely something to note, definitely something to keep an eye out on. I am 100% open to the idea of bringing T. Higgins to the Bay. Again, to me, I think it's more likely to not happen than it will. I've seen crazier things. The Niners did trade for Christian McCaffrey when I didn't think they were going to. But the 49ers have a decent amount of pull in this situation because they don't have to trade for him. He's a free agency. Obviously, he's going to want a big contract, and that's where I think it's just unlikely for the 49ers to pay him top-tier money after they've already paid, Brandon Ayuk, and then obviously you have the emergence of Juwan Jennings last year. But this is an intriguing story. It all started, again, with Michael Lombardi on the Pat McAfee show, and he made a comment about, could you imagine T. Higgins in the 49ers offense and whatnot, and they kind of touched on it a little bit. But, again, man, T. Higgins is the number one free agent on the market this offseason. Everybody's going to be interested in him, including the 49ers. So it's at least it's at least worth talking about and at least entertaining the idea. So let me know what you guys think of this. I mean, do you guys think the 49ers would be bold enough to sign T. Higgins? Obviously, they have a lot of key free agents that they're going to need to bring back. As long as they bring back Dre Greenlaw, I don't give a shit what they do in terms of signing certain guys or bringing different guys in. Obviously, there is the, you got guys like DJ Reed. You got guys like Solomon Thomas, Javon Kinlaw that are all kind of being linked to the 49ers because of Robert Saleh, coming back to the Bay Area and him being, with the Jets. And, Kinlaw, Solomon Thomas, both of those guys played under Saleh in New York. Saleh brought those guys over from being in San Francisco. So, yeah, again, let me know what you guys think of this in the comments down below. Do you guys think the 49ers would really offer T. Higgins a deal that he would sign? To me, I don't think they would. But gosh, man, this offense would be insane if they were able to lure T. Higgins and sign him in free agency. So, again, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. As always, go Niners. I'll see you guys in the next one.